All right, folks, we are back here to start our first match, a decider match here in Group B. It's NRG versus Blast Off Buds. And only one of these teams can make it through to the main event, the last main event of NA's OWCS year. NRG Shock currently holds second place in the region and need a strong performance here to maintain that spot and guaranteed qualification to Stockholm.
Yeah, start to the win here, right? They would only get second in their group. Really tough opponents, right? Potentially they would have to face, I believe it would be one of Citrus Nation Nightmare or Toronto Defiant in that first round. So already kind of putting themselves behind the 8 ball, so to speak, before they even get to the main event. But a lot of things to get done right before even thinking about that main event, as Blast Off Bud's not an easy opponent.
No, at least that's what has been peddled a little bit in our pre-game. Danny felt it will be a close game. I don't. We'll see how this plays out. Attack is in here for NRG Shock. A tank, by the way, not Kellen. And it will be Tree to start in as well. It'll be Ash Farah for NRG Shock.
Yes, both teams decided to run with the Farah here. This is one of the points, like I was talking about before the break, where you do see a lot of Farah, specifically on Lijiang Tower. It'll be the Ash, though, instead of the Cassidy. So the Cassidy going to be a little bit better fighting over the point in that close quarter area. I think Tree, though, going to have an easier time dealing with that Farah. So Vice has to be pretty careful in the routes he takes.
Fran Hammers like it is 2018 all over again. Great to see that. Oh, okay, that's not good. Goodbye. Rack attack. Nice. Vaiz able to get a big concussive blast, but Baz does fall. So frontline one out here by attack, and now things go from probably bad to a little more ugly for Blast Off Buds getting pushed into here. And I thought Frothy Philly was using streamer mode. No, that's just their name. Unreal respect. Good start here for NRG Shock after a 1-for-1.
It's really difficult when you lose your Orisa to kind of take that aggressive battle, especially over the point. As Blast Off Buds making some changes, now going to play with an Ash of their own. So it feels like Ash making a little bit of an impact here early on, right? It's a little bit easier to shoot that Farah, a little bit more healing resources, right? When you kind of connect with those dynamites, especially now. Easy dynamites playing over by the bridge. You see Tree connects to one there.
Baz is completely overextended. Yeah, got caught off from the rest of their team there. I think they might have been a little confused as to whether it was a push up past this orbital rail or a disengage, because losing your Orisa there is pretty rough. And that puts NRG Shock out to a bit more of a comfortable lead now. The ult advantage for Blast Off Buds is something they must use to get back to the point.
I mean, Baz is already pretty far even before the orbital ray. He kind of gets across the bridge and then decides the orbital ray comes in there from Ultraviolet. And it's not like he's going to run backwards back into the orbital ray of the opponents, right? So just a nice job from NRG Shock realizing odd positioning there from the Blast Off Buds. That's going to be Tree connecting that dynamite. The healing pressure I was talking about, not able to get some of these players healed up. This is going to be Redux actually using the orbital ray here after losing a few players.
That is ambitious, I think, and that's putting it lightly. Blast Off Buds expend that huge Juno ultimate here to try and win that fight out. Where are you headed, Scissors? Okay, you got the fuel for this?
Just trying to live.
Very nice.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Love that.
It barely lives. Is I don't think there's any circumstance you could use orbital ray there. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Scissors were hiding over there by that bush.
Okay. Caught out entirely there by the javelin spin. Nothing Scissors could have done. They read into that well. Blast Off Buds, but here comes the Bob. Bringing NRG Shock up to virtually 5 players. Attack under some degree of pressure here, and Vaiz does have a barrage they need to make use of pretty soon. Here comes the push from Baz. Terra Surge thrown out here, barrage over the top of it. Rack attack caught in the maelstrom, and attack also fall into the Farah ultimate. NRG Shock let this one go through to the keeper, despite spending Rally and Bob and their Terra Surge.
Yeah, the Bob actually kind of gets knocked off course, right? So we'll see Scissors here trying to stay on. Goes around the outside here.
It's all about the techers. He's looking for the unreleased PvE map, you know?
He's just trying to find a little bit of an angle, but Orbital Ray is going to be huge here, right? Orbital Ray, barrage, right? If you get a kill with a barrage, you're pretty happy about that. So we'll see. Scissors trying to go high up in the sky and then come down, land a barrage there from an angle that they wouldn't have expected.
Here's Bob, charges straight through, actually makes it all the way back towards White Room and is taken down instantly. The barrage angle is good from Scissors, though. Definitely an unexpected one as far as Blast Off Buds are concerned. This should wrap it up here. No supports really left after Frothy. Philly has to succumb. 3 maps of that. Okay.
You're just gonna call out everything for all he really does, just because you love the name. Sick play though there by Rack Attack. I'd love if we have a clip of this, but the Bob actually comes on through and he times the whip shot perfectly to actually knock the Bob off the side of the map. So that's how you saw that Bob dealt with really fast. Where you could have like whip shot early and it would have like stopped the progress on the point. He kind of waits and times it up perfectly to knock it off the side.
It could be victory, maybe sending Bob too far to the right, to the left, excuse me. Maybe they wanted Bob on the point itself. Maybe they wanted it in white room, maybe to get some knockoff value there, but Rack Attack was able to intercept that. And that's why we saw Bob get kind of eliminated very, very quickly. So, not a great start for Blast Off Buds. They do manage to win a fight after sort of throwing their orbital ray here, but these mistakes, unfortunately, cannot creep in up against a team like NRG Shock. They're going to punish you for it, and in the next fight, too.
As Shock will continue to play the far here on to the next point. They'll be very difficult to kind of know. As you see the route that they take, Mitch, they take control of the point straight away. So now you're forced to run into all this rocket spam here in the choke for Blast Off Buds.
The next POV here. Hyper ring now to try and get onto the point for Blast Off Buds, but a lot of damage being taken early. They've got the Genji, so a little bit hard for Vayis to interact with Scissors. Healing's been fine. Good, in fact. Ultraviolet goes down here, but Baz may have overextended ever so slightly. They're trying to get healing to the Orisa now. But she will be able to build back some of that armor. Attack picked off, and Blast Off Buds kind of just win a nice little neutral fight there.
That's really impressive there from Blast Off Buds. I was talking about how difficult it is to kind of like run on into that with that rocket spam, and they play the Orisa cooldowns perfectly. They're able to, with Redux and Frothy Billy, able to keep Baz alive, right, through all of that damage. And they don't even allow Shock to take the point. So really nice start here for Blast Off Buds.
Already up to 20%, so definitely getting off the mark nice and early, but Scissors is trying to push up here with attack. They are very quickly returning to the point. Blast Off Buds, though, ready for it. Play to the outside. Very standard, especially in these Orisa compositions. But Baz can't really contest for much longer. They're going to be forced off the point. In fact, they just give their life up in order to try and stop a premature cap. And now you're at risk of facing a pretty elongated stagger on the rest of your team.
Oh, I mean, you are, and I also think it's going to be different. Like, if you give Tree that much space, right? Nobody even looking at him, right? I mean, he's able to just basically stand still, aim, and just keep dinking Baz's head. You're not going to be able to kind of survive a lot of fights like that. So they got to get Vice in position to put a lot of pressure there on the Ash of NRG Shock, because if you're not going to be able to do that, it's going to be a quick first map.
Scissors well and truly behind now. Again, it's an angle that needs to be respected by Blast Off Buds, but they don't really have anyone to send up there outside of the Genji. Vayis doesn't want to commit to that kind of fight. Scissors with some very circuitous routes in these fights so far. Taking us where no one's been taken before on the Farah POV. Only Tree falling early this time, though. They're not given that free space to work with, and Renex just stays alive. Just a little bit of splash would have brought them down, but it's missed by Scissors. Can't quite connect those direct hits on the Juno. Now it's going to be a rally being popped here by Rack Attack. NRG Shock want to commit to this fight. They already control the point, but the Dragon Blade is going to pry their grip away.
Oh, well, you do get a kill here onto the Genji. You still have Attack alive and a very healthy on the point. So I don't even think, even with Blast Off Buds with a few kills there towards the end of the fight, and then coming through with the Blade, they're not even going to be able to flip this, right? Because you have Tree coming off a spawn, as we saw, and now Scissors as well. So you're going to get a fight now at full strength for both teams. With Shock holding on through that, though, they put themselves in a great spot to secure map 1.
Good dynamite pressure here from Tree, putting Fear of God in the Blast of Buds. Who again need to make this approach through main. Now Baz switching over towards the Diva. Trying to mitigate some of this poke damage here, but it doesn't cost NRG Shock just to spam these chokes. So either way, Baz is taking a face full of damage before he gets in. Even before that, maybe. Now there's some pressure being put down by the Farah. Victory has to look skyward after being unable to get any value out of the Deadeye. And Baz is very low, kind of as we expected. Blast Off Buds, still not even through the front door, but Attack is suffering. Low on health, but they get the D-Mech now, and here comes Attack. Extra durability, of course, from that Terror Surge, and this will finish the job. This will be Lijiang Tower tied up pretty elegantly by NRG Shock.
It's just so much heal pressure there that goes down onto Blast Off Buds. You can see it, like players rotting out to dynamites. Cassidy taking shots from like afar from one side, then getting speared during Deadeye. I mean, nowhere. to even look, right? So you're taking these far rockets from the side, the Orisa just kind of spamming through the choke, same with the Dynamites, and there's no way you're going to be able to make it in. And even when you go to the Diva, right, only so much defense matrix able to be used, where you're not going to be able to live through all that damage. So good start for Shock.
Yeah, we saw Bass was down to about 10 or 15% HP before they touched the point. They're still kind of trying to trade in the neutral in the doorway. Good damage on attack there, but couldn't get rid of the Orisa in the end. And she always has another cooldown that gives her extra durability or damage mitigation. Every single one of them basically does that. So that's why we see the ult popped and people are surprised. Surprised Pikachu face when the extra overshield comes in and a Terra Surging Orisa. It's like, yep, that's kind of what she does. But here, of course, look, we had a very odd orbit array there in that fight. This is always sort of coming from these unexpected spots. Like, you don't have time to react to that if you're victory. And this is also at the same time as that Bob gets redirected.
Yeah, there's the Bob, yeah.
Shot. That's such a small
really
window
nice.
for Rack.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. It's awesome that they were able to catch that, where, yeah, just the timing on that. Because Bob ends up on the point, right? It's still a deterrent. You're not going to, like, push into the Bob directly. So that allows him to just eliminate the Bob straight away. No damage even put down by the Bob.
Yeah, you can see here these last moments. There's like a staggered fight here where Bass is trying to contest the point, but lingers a little bit too long and ends up getting picked off before the fight gets to properly begin. Final moments there, pretty cut and dry, I think, all told. There's NRG, and yeah, with that 2.0 KD, pretty darn solid here. Couple of moments where Blast Off Buds were able to hold their own, but really only in one fight on each stage of Lijiang Tower, and you all know all too well that is far from enough.
Yeah, just dominance here from Shock. So I think this will be interesting for Blast Off Buds. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to play a map where we're going to go back to this Orisa type of head-to-head? Do you want to change things up a little bit? But I even think for teams that are not favored, well, you don't know how much they practice it, but historically, just in terms of esports in general that I've been involved with, if you're a team that might be a little bit outmatched, there's like a new game mode, new map in the works, right? Like, those are things you can probably take advantage of. Like, I doubt Shock is scrimming Clash on Hanaoka all day long, right? Where this is something that you kind of throw in a little bit of a curveball, right? To try and even things up.
It has been done. I mean, we're not just sort of, making this stuff up. We have seen quite a few teams try to pull these maps out. Excuse me. I mean, it's worth bearing in mind these two teams have played. They've already played each other. And it was Kings Row and New Junk City were selected by Blast Off Buds. That was like the opening match of this Group B, which also was a 3-0 as it turns out. So NRG Shock here, probably pretty happy to see any map at this stage. I would love to see like a Clash map thrown in. I just don't think that's going to bother NRG Shock too much. The curse of the lost control map still very much a thing of the past here. Don't need to worry about that. They definitely seem to be pound for pound. And I talked about this in the pregame, right? We can discuss strategy, map picking, macro. That's all fair. That's all well and good. But if the pound for pound sort of, level of these two teams isn't quite there, it's very, very hard to see.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if you're not kind of in the same sphere in terms of skill, right, between the teams, you can throw out kind of all the decision making and whatnot. It just kind of goes in the bin, right?
Yeah, I think we don't even get to that point here. So in the same vein as last time,
yeah,
we're going to Blast Off Bubs choosing to play a bit of Kings Row. Something tells me NRG Shock familiar with this map.
Well, what do you think about, though? Like, okay, we played them already. We lost 3-0. Just played the same maps we lost 3-0 in. Like, I don't know. Like, they could be their best maps, right? Which is, a real thing. But you've already kind of seen the result. Turning around a 3-0 to like kind of go the other way, you got to make a lot of adjustments. They have to be worse, like considerably worse, right? I think it could just be a little bit hard to make that big of a change in a week, right?
I mean, it really depends, I think, on like how you're viewing this match. Are you viewing this as, we absolutely need to lock in? If we just play our best maps the best we can, then we're going to make it out into the main event? Or is it more a matter of, this is a really good opportunity to take on a team that we feel is probably a little bit stronger than us on the best maps that we possibly can? Let's take a measure of ourselves here. We don't have enough circuit points to really vie for top 2 in NA. So we treat this as an opportunity here to put our best foot forward, show what we're capable of.
I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to win. Like, I don't really care how I win.
But everyone says that. But everyone says that they're trying to win. But
Yeah.
on the inside, they're not saying that. They're saying,
Not like,
I think our opponents might be a little better than
today.
us. Yeah, that's
Right.
exactly.
But that's where you got to just like just do, let's play Clash. Let's do stuff that nobody else is maybe really focusing on practicing. Where like maps that go in, see what maps that like Shock has lost recently. What did they do against Fluffy Dreamland? Right? Like there's a
Chat, PGE is chilling today. Okay, if you love your king that much, then let him have a day off.
like Fluffy
All right?
Dreamland beat them on Gibraltar, right? I know they end up tying Blizzard World. Like Fluffy Dreamland won on like a New Junk City. Like there's maps that you've seen teams have like positive results against Shock on. Why not try one of those?
I don't see
even if
why-
it's not your strongest. Or just
You're
say,
like-
hey, what is our strongest map out of the ones we've seen them lose, right?
If you're a team that's coming up, I see the merit in like getting one of those silver bullet maps, like working on that in your map pool. But the map pool is so big. Like in other esports, they do not have to deal with map pools that are this big. It is crazy. It's like what, 20-ish? I don't even know the number. There's so many maps you have to develop. So I'm not surprised to see like them go to some old favorites here as well. Just say, hey, if we have the chance to pick the map, we just get the one we're the most familiar with. We have like the most well-drilled comp. We have good protocols. Rotations are solid, especially on this point. Rotations are ultra important. Also, the Widow headshot definitely going to be, crucial here to try and play off of.
Yeah, it just feels like everybody has a good, King's Row, right? Or a King's Row that's pretty solid. Is you're going to see actually Tree go down first here. Is on the Cassidy, not playing the Ashe on defense here, so Victory going to have an advantage over Sightlines. But I mean, this is Scissors just being so aggressive, just trying to pester down this Widow.
Yeah, this fire pressure is definitely starting to mount. Matthew, and Rack Attack is, well, taken the wrong way by one of those rockets. Yeah, again, I understand the Tracer switch up to try and answer this Widowmaker, but it's a big job here for Scissors in general. Tree's back with a vengeance, though. Fai's already picked off. Orbital Ray, pretty strong ability in the game of Overwatch. Some might say it makes you virtually unkillable. That would seem to be the case here as NRG Shock get in after giving up 2 ticks, but they have to use that Juno ult.
Yeah, as now Blast of Buds will make a change here where they'll bring in Cassidy. So I think Scissors just being such a nuisance. Like, you know what? Like, let's not try and force that Widow in yet again. Let's try and go to the Cassidy, make it a little bit easier for Victory to survive.
All right, Attack is playing that statue position, still making sure he's got good line of sight there. You'll notice that Ultraviolet is trying to stay out of the Cassidy line of sight while getting that healing in. Pulse Bomb though on Victory. Scissors on the Tracer. He's starting to become a little bit of a problem. Blast Off Buds have switched in such a way that Scissors could just go back to anything else at this point, but the Tracer is working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Red X going down there. Keep an eye on Ultraviolet's ult charge as well. That's getting to the point where he can almost catch up to and lap Red X.
Yeah, you know, Scissors is so good on the Tracer, there's no real reason to even feel forced to switch off of it, where Blast Up Buds is a great opportunity, right? You've already gotten a tick 75% of the point. This is going to be Orbital Ray here used early on. Attack going to be forced to use the Terror Surge just to live.
Review's here. At least able to start to get the tick. Remember, it's just 1 tick required for Blast Off Buds, and that's a beautiful barrage. Getting 2 there is, what's Value Town? Ultraviolet. Get him, Spawn. You got him.
So that's, I mean, look, Blast Up Buds, they just run in and hit Q on everybody, right? So there's not really a lot that Shock can do there. They end up trying to use a rally there for the Shock to come back out onto the point and fight for it, but it's a nice barrage, like you mentioned. So the barrage comes up with some kills there. It's Scissors still lurking behind enemy lines, though. Blast Up Buds is a great idea that he's there.
All right, back to business now for Blast Off Buds. They're probably not too bothered. It just takes them 2.5 minutes, which is pretty common if you lose the first fight, or the second, I think, as it was. Scissors still on the Tracer.
I mean, I like the Tracer here. I don't think there's anything wrong with playing the Tracer. Tree now going to play Ashe, so a little bit more of that heal pressure we talked about, like on Lijiang Tower, as you see the amount of, look at this damage that goes down onto Red X, right? You're just trying to keep your Juno alive. Nice stick there. Not going to result in a kill, but the damage good enough to finish Baz off.
Close enough, right? That armor got smacked off of Baz there, and nicely done. This is waiting there. Blast Off Buds, no choice but to disengage away from that Orbital Ray. straight into the waiting arms of the Tracer. A little bit of Widow action here as well, though. Punishes Ultraviolet. But look how far forward Scissors is playing. He does not want to let Blast Off Buds get established with a Widow at all. And Victory's not going to bother.
He plays so aggressive, Scissors, right? In the enemy spawn, able to just dart and dive out of the way, using the recall perfectly, right? Playing off some of the health packs as well. That'll be a dynamite from Tree that connects, but you're gonna give up some space here. See Scissors get into position, put some damage down on the far.
There's that mini, I think.
Yeah.
Picks it up, and here comes the orbital ray from Blast Off Buds. They are quick about it. Attack low. Just ults there to stay alive, I think, maybe to try and punish Frothy Philly. But they do eventually go down. Baz is absolutely raring to go in this front line here, and Blast Off Buds, well, that's how good Juno is. Winning every fight with a heavy orbital ray. Gotta respect it.
You're gonna lose a lot of... I mean, you're just at a large damage disadvantage from having the Tracer. I think the Tracer's really good to put pressure onto Redix in the far. It's a nice shot there. That's one from Victory, and then Redix finishes off Scissors. But now in this front line, right? I mean, you are going to take so much poke with the Pharah and that Dynamite of the Ash, as you see players just crumbling here for a shot. That'll be a second checkpoint for Blast Off Buds.
Nicely done. They've really made up a lot of the time. They lost on point A here, Matt. 3 minutes to work with. And again, they've been very, very good at capitalizing here, and just some of these early picks. Faiz has been devastating. And they're also in a very annoying position here for a team that doesn't have the bandwidth to set up defensively with their hit scan. Baz just pulls Rack Attack out of the mix, but perhaps that's a little bit too much, too far for Baz.
Yeah, I think his backline was just completely isolated and pushed out here by Attack, and Scissors putting down some damage, so he's not able to get healed up at all at range. That's a nice spear that comes through, and then a finish there by Scissors, and you also get Frothy Philly too. So 2 kills here to just kind of extend the Blast Off Buds spawn time. You see now the players finally back up. See them attack it again, but yeah, I mean, you lose Baz there. There's nothing you could really do.
We have a bomb available for Victory. Now you get a run in the orbital right here, so it's definitely going to be a little disruptive. Bob first out there. Let's see what Blast Off Buds end up committing to this fight. Just the Bob of their own here, but Redx wouldn't have got away there. It looks like there was a torpedo chasing them on out. Tree goes down to the Bob of Victory. But it ends up being a trade, and Baz is going to stack it out a little bit. Nice little pick off from Faiz, though. This gets a little more uncomfortable now. An Attack is healthy and can give this ground up.
Yeah, and I think you're going to have to back up here if you're the Shock, right? You end up losing your Pharah there as Scissors goes deep for the kill onto Baz. No way you can kind of fight this without any of your damage dealers up. So they'll back up here for just a beat. Now they'll get back to full strength there. As none of the support ults you've used in that fight, and you're not going to need to use one now. I mean, they actually go forward a little bit with that rally. They're going to actually see the orbital ray that comes out from both sides here.
That is not where I want the Arista Javelin to go if I'm ulting. That is so unpleasant. Oh dear, Faiz. Well, got used as a flag in that fight by Attack. And NRG Shock now can solidify a little bit. That's the orbital ray gone here for Blast Off Buds as well, though.
Positive for Blast Off Buds, though, is they end up holding on a rally. So they end up holding on a rally, but you could see like Attack try and group them all together with the Terror Surge and then Scissor with the Barrage. So a lot of different things you can do. And then also Tree with how much damage he's been putting down, whether it be with the Dynamites or just headshots on Navas, building on towards another Bob rather quickly.
Scissors here, these conks have been really important because they've been actually knocking people up into Tree's line of sight, or at least making him a bit more floaty, easier to hit for the Ash. That's what we saw in the previous engagement. Little awkward there, but he's caught inside that Terror Surge, and Baz goes down to a torpedo of all things.
And then but they use the rally here. This feels terrible, right? They try and use the rally to potentially keep Baz alive, and it's not enough. So you end up using the rally to back up towards your spawn, which is it feels really bad there for Blast Off Buds. It was a good idea. They almost executed it, but
it's a Terror Surge fight
there.
That's all they've really got here. Nice javelin though. Rax Solo gets out. I think there was a torpedo there to heal him up. Nice timing from Ultraviolet. That's going to be Frothy Philly falling to Attack here. Victory's got a bit of room to breathe. The barrage comes in, but it looks like, yep, Rack Attack had a parasol. The Scissors is able to throw that down on top of him. And here's an orbital ray. Good timing for that one. Redx going to pop theirs as well. Big torpedoes, though, from Ultraviolet. And nobody from NRG Shock here going to fall, especially with the rally in play. They are far too healthy, far too durable. And they will stop Blast Off Buds right here.
And you see when you get two teams like this, it's pretty evenly matched, right? a lot of the time. It's just that like the use of the rally there, right? That's like kind of the difference. You have that rally for the final fight. Now everybody on both sides has support ultimates coming into it, but you end up using your rally trying to keep your tank alive. The tank falls, the rally goes for nothing. And that's kind of the difference at the end of the game, right? It's just these very minor decisions that end up kind of mattering when you have matches like this where Shock seems so disciplined right now.
Yeah, well, also Bud's good aggression. I think when things are breaking in their favor and they have an advantage or a first pick, they do well at converting, but something a little smelly about Baz's positioning at times, right? Like getting quite far forward from Red X, not really able to, get the healing. We saw Blake Baz push up into the Foundry, right? And I think he got rack attack. I think he might even have ulted for it, but then kind of gets picked off and it's like, okay, well, that momentum that you have sort of generated with a pick and that space that you could have really earned yourself there, now you just have to give back immediately. So you don't want to be trading, of course, as a tank. A couple of situations there, Baz maybe bit off a bit more than they could chew.
I like the May here, 4 blast off odds on defense, right? Try and slow the game down, split off some of the members of the Shock, and then I also think the May is something that you can commit to, right? You can play throughout the entirety of the map. So I think the May pretty good decision here.
Also, attack is just pretty hard to shift. They are very solid with their cooldown rotations here. All right, rack attack, hit him with the grippy. And obviously with the switch over towards the brig.
Now, I haven't heard that one.
You thought about repeating it. That's the best part.
I mean, I heard it.
Life grip.
You know,
the grippy.
I analyzed it, yup, and then I moved on.
That's life grip. Even says life grip on the screen.
Look at how fast. I mean, they're just rotating all the way around. You end up losing rack, but I feel like this is going to put your damage dealers, the rest of your team, in a pretty good position.
Yeah, attack here. Thinking about healing, thinking about how nice it would be. Now getting some. Baz, I don't know how you get out of here. Yeah, that health pack is not recovered here, so things eventually fall apart here. NRG Shock don't give any room to breathe here, and just getting that player advantage allows them to scrap out a fight, which should ultimately be a full cap.
And then Shock able to get that high ground there, which is typically hard to do, especially when you're not playing like a Diva or a Winston. They just rotate to that high ground so fast, so you're able to force victory off of those positions. You're not really going to play Vice back there to protect him, right? Or you're not going to be able to have the May kind of contest solo on that point. So it puts your Ashe and supports in a really tough spot. You're able to take the first point rather quickly. Baz is going to be in a really weird spot though here, Mitch. Pushed up a little bit. Okay.
But Attack's trying to bait him in. Attack is trying to bait them in on that corner, but the wall completely negates that strat. I'm not sure the idea is there.
Forgot about that one.
He's just sitting in the corner. I like the idea, but maybe they're not ready for the May switch for Vaiz, who, I mean, I think that they saw that well in advance. Vaiz always has a Blizzard ready to go here.
Playing the May since the start of the round, right? I think it's just wasn't impactful at the beginning, so maybe you kind of fall asleep at the wheel there a little bit, or you thought that the follow-up was going to be there from the rest of the squad. It's some nice damage from Scissors over on an off angle.
Yeah, still about 90 HP to work with here. Orbital Ray coming out from NRG Shock. They've managed to get through the Blizzard for the most part here. The healing is just too good. Blast off Buds before they could capitalize on their May ultimate. Steamrolled here for NRG Shock. And now, like, your May is still relevant, I think, here for the next couple of moments. Like, I like the idea with pick potential of the wall. That makes sense, but NRG Shock's DPS can work around the wall to some degree. As can the Juno just pop up, get that healing onto attack if it were to happen.
Yeah, I liked having the May in the mix. They were able to get value out of it once, but there with the Blizzard, not really much of anything. This could be quite dangerous. Scissors kind of lurking here on the far. You've seen it in the past.
Yeah, maybe
a big barrage here.
A real big flank here. Oh, nice dynamite and Vaiz, so now they know that they've been noticed up there. Scissors doesn't commit to the full flank here. Maybe the Bob is an issue for them. But still, like, this is what I would still classify as an off angle. You can still barrage this pretty comfortably now. You've seen the rally come out. Frothing Finley got stunned up there by Rack Attack. A double stun from the Brig. And Scissors goes for a relatively safe barrage here. The damage is good, but it's going to be healed up if they don't capitalize. The NRG Shock want to push into this. Baz comes forward, quite far forward, in fact. Has had their armor knocked now, but the healing is coming thick and fast from the defenders. Attack would love to push up here, but they're at risk of overheating. And here's an orbital ray coming out from Blast Off Buds. Can they use this? And once more, with the right ultimates behind them, Blast Off Buds can execute here.
Yeah, they got a very important hold, right? You give up that checkpoint there, would have been a lot of trouble because tons of time on the clock for NRG Shock to complete the map. This will be a big test, though, here for Blast Off Buds. Orbital Ray available for Shock. You just ended up using yours. Don't have a rally. Maybe it's the Barrage that's the big equalizer.
Orbital Ray here for Ultraviolet. Very defensively used. A little bit of extra healing on Rack, I think it was there, just to keep them safe. And honestly, this is set up really well. Blast Off Buds are a little extended. This is their last support to go down. Now they have nothing else to work with. A big Hail Mary from Baz catches Ultraviolet, but now it'll just be a couple of individuals to stall things out. They got drawn away from the cart, drawn into that Orbital Ray. And then NRG Shock will have them for breakfast.
Yeah, I think they have Tree dead to rights, so they kind of push on in. They don't decide to use any of the ultimates that they had at the moment, but it's a nice Orbital Ray there from UV. You see how we see a lot of times, obviously, the damage amplification, right, that I know Orbital Ray has, but there you see the healing, right? It's almost impossible, especially Juno pumps out a lot of healing with her weapon, just able to keep Tree alive. Is Baz going to be in a lot of trouble? That's all the armor gone in the Orisa.
Vise was just outside of the Terror Surge, Matt. So they got to just hit the Brig, rather the Orisa with a full channel of that ultimate.
And they're doing a great job, I think, Blast Off Buds, of keeping Baz alive. I mean, how many times do we see no armor on the Orisa and they're able to keep him up?
I think on defense they've looked remarkably better at that. Maybe Baz taking a couple less risks here, but it's a long time. This is still 2 minutes and 50 to play. Doesn't feel like there should be so much left in the bank for NRG Shock, but you remember they got that first point really quickly and managed to get past the May comp in the second phase of the map relatively well until they got to the doors of the Foundry. So once more we go in. Bob here on the corner. That's going to be a little bit annoying to deal with now. Blast Off Buds have to disengage away from that. Orbital Ray comes out and NRG Shock can disengage. Bob makes a space. And so they just get out when they see that Juno ult.
Well, I think this is good for the Shock, right? I mean, you end up using, I mean, this position not great for the Shock. Is Scissors just kind of hanging out here.
He's too direct.
But they end up using, this is going to be a Terror Surge from Baz up on the high ground.
Oh no! PG Glazers and chat are going to feast on this for years. They're never going to give it up now. Oh my goodness, there it is. NRG Shock get the map done and do a little bit of trolling at the same time. Why not?
Dominant fashion. So what I was gonna say before we got on with Scissors, we were seeing his journey, is you traded out your Bob for, they layered both support ultimates there for the Blast Off Buds. They ended up using the Rally and the Orbital Strike, and that's just kind of GG at that point, especially where that Golden Box victory was. It was so short from where the payload was at the moment that you have both support ultimates there for NRG Shock. You see, you don't even need your Pharah. The Pharah could just be under the map, dead. You just end up popping a Rally, Orbital Strike, just keep moving on forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we talked about this at the start of the game. It's every little mistake, or a lot of the little mistakes that are going to be made by a team like Blast Off Buds, it's going to be capitalized on by NRG Shock. That one, the simplest, right? Because Bob not only is a good engage tool to start a fight, but he just creates a massive amount of space. You can disengage behind that so easily, even if your opponents have, like, you know, boosts from that Orbital Ray, you are getting out of that one alive. I like the Tracer adaptation here to deal with the Widow. It's not exactly the, you know, reinventing the wheel here, Matt, but it does give that defense for NRG Shock a bit more potency.
Yeah, absolutely. And I liked, it didn't exactly work out. I liked the May from the Blast Off Buds on their defense. I think May is a really good and impactful, at least on the first 2 points here on King's Row. They're just not able to make things work in the end, as we'll see here some highlights. Tackling very well today on the Orisa. I think both Orisas, had a pretty good series. So it's a nice javelin there. Almost able to stay on.
Yeah, that was a interesting way that fight went down there. Excuse me. Yeah, look, I'm pretty happy with the Orisa play. I do think that at some point, you do the thing as Orisa. And it's only sort of obvious that maybe you're not doing well if it's pretty egregious, right? Like getting first picked in some of these fights. Like outside of that, she's quite forgiving, even at this level, I think, just because of the sheer amount of healing. And we talk about Orbital Ray. A lot of the time, like Juno's healing, 40% of it. Why are we doing this again? Okay, let's do this. Yeah, let's see it all go down. I mean, Scissors has definitely been limit testing. We saw that a lot on, this isn't Code, he was doing it on Lijiang Tower as well. Again, there was, I don't know if people know this, but the PvE area on King's Row used to be in the map itself, and you could glitch through with Sombra with a translocator and actually find that unreleased part of the map. So that's what I'm assuming that he's trying to do there. Benefit of the doubt.
That's what you're saying. Scissors was trying to do. Got it.
Yeah. The cancel,
not trying to
cancel
cope,
sort of
but
PvE area, you know.
That's what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
While he was doing that, the rest of NRG was playing, and they played quite well across the board. The healing output for Blast of Buds, just a little better. I think you can also see that when they play, right? You're keeping Baz alive a lot of the times without any armor. Pretty impressive stuff there from Blast Off Buds, but they now find themselves down 2-0. You said the last time, I believe it was New Junk City, right? There's the pick from the Blast Off Buds.
Yes, or New Queen Street.
New Queen Street, maybe. Okay, so maybe we see them run back the same series again.
We'll confirm that one for you. We probably won't have to. It was New Junk City, you're right, Matt. So we'll see if we go to Flashpoint after this break. One last chance for Blast Off Buds to avoid going the way of Team Rocket. We'll see after this. That's right, folks. November 22nd through 24th. That's where it all goes down. It's the crowning event of this year, the inaugural year of the OWCS. And NRG would very much like to find themselves amongst the teams attending. And a clean 3-0 here would definitely get them on their way. Being part of the main event will definitely guarantee them some number of circuit points, hopefully enough to get them to that big event. Where New Junk City is coming up next year.
So back.
We are running back the same map set, or at least the map selections by Blast Off Buds, as we saw last time these played.
Yeah.
What happened last time, Matt?
I know it was a hard fought game.
One of them close 3-0s you guys keep talking about.
Yeah. Danny unmuted during the break, and he was like, "Reverse sweep incoming," and that's what it'll take for the Blast Off Buds come back. Now, it's not looking good. I think the Shock have played quite well today. Don't think you're going to see some kind of like miraculous comeback for the Blast Off Buds, because also they would need to run through the Shock on 2 of their maps that they choose, right? So a big hill to climb here.
Again, Kings Road didn't quite work out for Blast Off Buds. But we kind of like a lot of our discussion at the start of the game was, okay, I mean, they are obviously trying to pick maps where they feel
That
most
doesn't look
comfortable.
good.
That is
That shouldn't be going on the ground. Look, I'm not an expert in the environment, right? But that green goo coming out of a pipe going on the ground,
still
not good.
Still got that prime energy going. Mad respect.
Yeah, somebody
Year 2080.
have it on tap here at New Junk City.
We got an energy drink out there in Australia called Mother, and it is pretty intense. It's kind of reminds you of that.
It's
honestly.
an energy drink called Mother.
Called Mother, yeah. It's good. I really like it, but it's it'll kick you up the dot, that's for sure. Anyway, in the game, we have Cassidy and Genji setups here for these two teams. Where are my other Mother drinkers in the chat? Y'all know about it. It's good stuff. Attack wants to push here past Baz, and they almost had that Orisa isolator, but a whip shot sends Baz back to the safety of their teammates, but there's nothing safe about being a Blast Off Buds player right now. This is a lot of damage, folks. And I've said that a few times before. Sometimes I was saying it out of kindness and just trying to be nice, but no, this is actually verifiably a crud ton of damage.
I can't even believe that the Blast Off Buds lived this long. I know some really nice healing from Rudex and Philly, but just not enough, right? I mean, you could just see the health bar. Everybody just getting chunked down by the damage that comes through from the Shock. I think the cooldowns, Blast Off Buds want to get aggressive a little bit early. Couldn't really kind of chase down the Shock. Then Shock bounced back in a massive way. And just the healing cooldowns, and everything being used by the Blast Off Buds keep everybody alive. Don't have anything left at the end.
Damn. Who's coming out with that spray? Is that Rack trying to flex on Scissors? Unreal. Here's a dash though. A lot of pressure on Baz already. Not what you want to see, but Victor is able to slip in and find Rack attack. Red actually going down to the Deadeye. Not good, especially with Baz as low as they are. There's no way they're getting this Orisa back to full. And Baz eventually is brought down.
And Attack ends up using the Terror Search just to take out one, is trying to make it interesting here for Blast Off Buds, but UV should be able to close it out here with that orbital, right? Nice Javelin at range, too, from Attack.
What range? 1 meter?
No, he was on the move.
Yeah, I love that. Overcoming the recoil, or
he's like a quarterback, right? It's difficult throwing on the move.
Because in Overwatch, that ability's harder to hit when you're moving. That's true. It's true.
It is. I mean, all abilities are harder to hit when you're moving, right? No, but that one
hit.
Nice one.
That one
mid-range,
hit.
A little mid-range.
Oh, okay, how about that one? That's even better.
That's nice.
That's actually
nice.
a range.
What?
Shame Baz is going to die for it.
30-yarder, yeah, this is good.
All right, not quite though. It is going to be Redix coming with Orbital Ray. They really want to fight the Shock, trying to get out of here. They do have a rally at least to get them out. And that Orbital Ray is a thing of the past now. Rack attack caught by the blade though. Vai's looking to go in. Very low his attack. There's been some solid Genji play so far this round. Who's going to win? One Ninja Boy or one little pea shooter? It is going to be Blast Off Buds able to overcome NRG Shock and start in control here of Ducks.
Yeah, it's a really nice bounce back fight there for Blast Off Buds. They have to use just about everything, but they don't end up, using their rally, right? So they'll have this rally to go against the blade that comes in from Scissors. You just won't have anything to deal with the orbital rate, right? When UV gets it, but you're going to earn a lot of progress here on this point.
Rally up as well for Frothy Philly. Gonna pop that now. Okay, interesting. Attack goes for such an early Terror Surge here. Scissors tried to follow it up on it with the blade by the looks of things, but they got caught out. Still, Baz is down. Bit of an Orisa gap right now being felt. And Tree trying to find shots on the Juno. Yeah, look, hard for the best of them, but that grenade does help. Ultraviolet just maybe asking how that little 1v1 went, but it will be an NRG Shock flip back at 70% for Blast Off Buds.
I don't think Blast Off Buds need to play it that way. They played pretty aggressive, right? When they came on in for the Shock, they end up using the rally for Blast Off Buds straight away. And the Terror Surge for attack just kind of groups everybody in, puts down that damage. And then the blade doesn't really get much of anything there. For the Shock, it's just all the damage they take with that Terror Surge being granted. Now they have that orbital ray to work with here in this next fight, but I know that was an advantage there where they probably didn't have to get super aggressive.
Redex is able to farm that Ray though, so they're going to be matched at the very least. Attack, basking in the rays himself, but Tree comes in. What a nasty Deadeye! Cutting through the orbital ray healing and cutting the lifeline out of Blast Off Buds.
Yeah, it comes right around the corner where all the Blast Off Buds are. They're in that orbital ray, but not going to be saved there from the Deadeye from Tree. That one is huge. NRG Shock push on out from the point, just trying to put some damage down on the Blast Off Buds, deny them to get a touch.
93 and counting, Blast Off Buds. In no way you're going to be equipped to flip this point back with a full team. They've lost their Juno already, so NRG Shock get what they want with that pick off, and then it's going to be victory following soon after. Terror Surge here. All right, I enjoyed it. For aesthetics, if nothing else. Pose thrown up there by Baz, but it's more rigor mortis than anything else at this time. It'll be an NRG Shock getting that second flashpoint, looking to close the map and series in the next.
Man, I like that from Shock, right? They push on forward. Blast Off Buds has to go to the point, obviously, to flip it in that type of situation. They just kill the 2 or 3 players that don't actually make it to the point, and then double back, just kill the Stragglers, right? And Blast Off Buds not able to get any kills, really at all during that fight. And now Shock set themselves up. Let's get a very fast 3-0 sweep here of the Blast Off Buds. Blast Off Buds, just doing a rematch pretty much of their earlier group stage. Same exact map set.
What's the plan here, buddy? All right. Big charge in.
You got rally out.
Yeah.
Rally out.
Big bad bustling Baz tries to get in there. Unfortunately, they were surrounded by NRG Shock players. Again, those are the errors that are going to haunt you. They're going to be punished by NRG Shock. A very easy fight. And an early point take here on Junkyard.
Yeah, deflect there of the hindrance, right? Back at victories. This will be Tracers. Oh, no. Okay, so we're going to go with Ashe. So I thought maybe we see Genji Tracer. We've seen that from, I know, a handful of teams in North America, but it'll be the Ashe. So trying to give themselves a little bit of damage. Maybe you can, land these dynamites. Maybe you can get that bob as Scissors gets quite low.
Oh, not another one. Deadeye here for Tree. This time, though, has to be cancelled. The blade. Giving him a close shave. The Rack attack just gets in the way. Nice bouncer work there by Rack. And here comes an orbital ray once more, and Blast Off Buds simply vaporized. They simply cease to exist.
Yeah, it's a nice javelin from Baz that interrupts Tree's Deadeye. When that blade comes on through, they're just not able to chase it. So Baz not going to be able to make it out. They use the blade there to just make sure it doesn't connect with it at all. But just a celebratory blade there towards the end.
That is another, pretty bad positioning issue, though, for Baz. That's 2 consecutive fights there where just overextending too far. Yeah, this is it. It's going to be pretty quick here. Blast Off Buds. It's a mercy killing here for NRG Shock. Vai's looking to try and stall things out, but as a whip shot and a little clap to reality. As Blast Off Buds pull up short in this series, they will fail to advance in this group, and NRG Shock will have their crack at the main event.
That's like a 15-minute match, it felt like. I mean, that is as fast as you can get here, where NRG Shock, we're talking about maybe Blast Off Buds can make it interesting. They don't even make it 30 minutes. I mean, NRG Shock just takes care of business.
Wasn't that quick?
Dominant.
I guess, yeah, we had a bit of a delay at the start of the game.
Take a look at the clock, right? We had a delay to start the game. Show starts, we do a little pre-show, you know, get things going. I mean, that was like a...
On paper, one of the biggest mismatches, you know, I think that we have today. We just expected NRG Shock to bounce back. They have to in this group. It's like kind of crunch time, and letting Fluffy Dreamland get out ahead of them is going to piss them off. So I'm glad to see that from them. Also, like, making use of attack. Looks like they've settled on their, like, primary Orisa player, and your King PGE chilling at Wingstop today. It's a self-care Sunday. Don't hold it against the guy. You'll see more of him offshore towards the main event. But Tree has a fantastic moment there on the Cassidy, especially in that last map. Big 3K Deadeye. Gets the boys over the line.
Yeah. I found out that Mitch, you're also in the chat as well.
No, that doesn't sound like me at all.
I mean,
I wouldn't do that.
yeah, no, I mean, this match, dude, I mean, yeah, NRG Shock, they look dominant. I mean, it was, I think for pound, they were definitely the better team. And also, it was a much needed win, like you guys said, you know, after losing to Fluffy Dreamland. They really needed to win this in order for them to just, you know, make themselves feel better, make themselves feel, you know, sort of
Vindicated?
what's the word? Yeah, and, you know, so that they could go into main event, sort of, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think they've redeemed themselves, right?
Yeah, you needed a little bit of a confidence booster, right? It just the Blast Off Buds seems to be the one that it ends up giving it to them. Where Blast Off Buds played, I don't want to say so. Obviously, they were heavily mismatched right here against the Shock, but and then the underdog. But I thought there were moments where they played quite well. I thought they obviously had. Glimpses of hope, right? But just to beat a team like the Shock, you're gonna have to play so good for the entirety of that game, where they just didn't have enough gas towards the end.
Yeah, I liked Kings. I thought it was solid. I mean, that is definitely the one map where I would feel like an underdog team can show their best. But even here out of the gates, right? Like, I mean, you're watching the health bars, I think, at the start of the fight. Like, I'm just yapping about so much damage. Like, there's nothing specific to talk about here because every individual is just blasting. I wouldn't say the focus fire was at a premium, but they are, like, really just damage output was immense here. And this is one of the ways this is one of the only ways you lose a fight, by the way, with Orbital Ray is if you just get shot in the face by the Cassidy with the Deadeye.
Yeah. And of course, the player of the match, Tree. This guy definitely was something else today.
Every time we've seen Tree, it's been awesome, right? Obviously waiting forever for Tree to be eligible to play at the highest levels of competitive Overwatch. This year, obviously, he's able to. And he is not disappointed in any of the games that we've been able to watch him play. This time coming in playing the hit scan here for Shock and just absolute dominance.
And I think that, like, you know, Tree coming in already to, like, an established DPS line of Scissors and PGE, I think, like, some criticism in the past has gone in PGE's direction just for like some slightly streaky showings, especially against those top teams. I think it's definitely important that, you know, like NRG Shock have some options now, a tank and also a DPS to rotate Tree in. Their Ashe, I think, is one of the heroes I'm most excited to see them play, but just overall their hit scan is really, really good. And this situation, like looking at this more broadly now, basically means that if you're going to knock NRG Shock out of the #1 spot in this region, I think you basically have to win the main event. So if you're Nightmare or TSM, you need like the max, you need the 500 circuit points from this stage 4 to potentially unseat them or close to. And you need NRG Shock to get like basically nothing from stage 4. It's hard.
So there's a path. I think Nightmare's probably the more logical of the one.
Yeah.
But by getting second in this group, right, it's going to force Shock to have a matchup against one of the teams in the other groups, right? So you're not going to be able to play like Fluffy Dreamland, right, in round #1. So they're going to end up getting matched up with like a Toronto, a Nightmare, or a Citrus Nation. Like all those games are losable, right? You go down like, let's say like an 0-2 type of scenario, right? Double first rounded, then all of a sudden Nightmare goes on a run. It's possible, right? But I don't think Shock's even thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see when the main event starts in about 4 days. But for now, let's move on to the post-match interview. We got Scissors on the line for a quick chat. Scissors, hello.
Hello.
Hey, congratulations, man. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling so good right now. I'm so excited.
You do?
Again. Yeah, I'm so excited.
You said you don't sound that excited to me. Honestly.
I am though,
Hey,
trust me. Just take my word for it.
Okay. I mean, hey, fantastic stuff today. You guys were very dominant. I do want to sort of ask you about the match with Fluffy Dreamland. I know that was like a week ago, but everyone sort of predicted that you guys were gonna get the win. But you know, unfortunately, you guys didn't. But at the end, you guys are still making it to the main event, so it doesn't really matter. But what sort of happened against Fluffy Dreamland?
You know, a little bit of trolling happened. You know, I was just on Mailer. You know, a lot of trolling going on. God. People were just being a little silly that day, so.
Yeah, it definitely. You guys definitely didn't look like yourselves here, but I mean, I guess like the price you pay is like, you know, coming out of the group with like a slightly more difficult seeding, but you're probably, you know, ready for that as it is. Probably feel confident against most of the teams in the main event. I've got to help chat out here. They're obviously asking where PGE is, what's up with him. Hopefully he's doing okay. And I also wanted to ask you as well. You look like you've sort of settled on the attack at Orisa sort of role. Is that true?
I believe so.
Yeah.
He's just like more like aggressive, so I feel like it just fits the meta better. I'm pretty sure is the reasoning. And PG, he's just on a top secret mission right now. You know, I can't really disclose where he's at, but he's doing the world a favor right now.
That checks
sounds
out.
pretty important.
That just checks out.
All you need to know.
Scissor, we actually call you on broadcast on a little bit of a top secret mission as well.
Oh, yeah.
On the bottom of King's Row. You want to walk us through this one? Like, what was going on here?
I mean, basically, people just don't understand my genius. You see, I was just like a distraction while my team did all the work. You know. So basically, they all looked at me, and my team just walking for free, and they just killed everyone. So I just hard carried that fight, basically. Like, I
like it.
Call it trolling.
Five-head move.
I just don't get it. Just don't understand my genius, you know?
You just carried it with your aura, you know what I mean? That global taunt, that
Someone has a setup for
good
PG.
job.
I took it in my hands, you know? Someone had to do it. I took it.
Did great.
Yeah, we're sorry, we weren't familiar with your game, Scissors. Thank you for educating us.
That's okay. That's okay.
All right. Any last words you want to say before we end the interview?
I miss you, PG. Come home, please. The kids miss you, man. Please. Please, man.
All right, Scissors. Thank you so much, and good luck in the main event. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.